Hey, what's going on, everybody?
What's good, everybody? This is Power Trip.
And this is Gene Invasion.
We're back. We've been away for a while, but we're here to let you guys know that we have not forgotten about you guys. But before we start this video, please like and subscribe to our channel so we can get more of this content going.
Of course, and always leave a comment. The comments are always greatly appreciated so that this way we can see things that you like or topics that you want to discuss, and we'll try our best to try to do what we can with it.
Alright, the first thing we're going to talk about, even though we've been away for a while, this has been showcased, even though it was badly or advertised by this company. But, ladies and gentlemen, PlayStation State of Play has been showcased. There are many plethora of games that have been showing, many different announcements, and so on and so forth. But there's been a lot of controversy been going on, and people are saying this State of Play has been dog water.
Now, here's the thing, though. Sony has been hit or miss with State of Plays, I want to say, for probably 2 years now, consecutively. Would this be considered, oh, you know what, no, I'll correct that, maybe 3 years. Would this be considered the dumpster fire, or just one of many?
My opinion, this is one of many. There's gonna be more. There's gonna be more we're gonna talk about very soon. But this one, would you say it's the biggest one, or is this, or the next one's gonna be the biggest one? I feel like this is the biggest one because
based off of the titles that they showcased, and guys, it was 14 titles that they showcased. Because of 3 names or 3 studios in here, I would say this is the biggest, but I mean, we just have to wait and see.
Other than that, but one of the games that my older brother's a fan of, Silent Hill, the remake. I know a lot of people are not a fan of remakes. This remake in particular, I'm not quite a fan of, because yes, this is Silent Hill 2. This been going on. Silent Hill is basically one of the scariest games of all time, especially the second one. When I looked at this remake, I told people, I said, why does the main character look like Leon? I'm like, you went to Chuck Norris of Resident Evil, man.
So the funny thing is even though Silent Hill 2, this one is being done by Konami and Bloober Studios, you could tell that they're using Capcom's Unity engine. Oh no, Unreal Engine. You could tell.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh my god. Now here's the funny thing though. The graphics don't look as crisp as like a Capcom RE title. I would say this one is probably, I want to be nice, because I was going to say late game PS3, but maybe more like,
that's old.
Graphics wise, yeah, but I was going to say maybe like PS4 graphics with the way this UE their character looks. It definitely looks like Leon.
Yes.
But it just looks like they ripped off an RE engine. It really does.
It's like that. It's like they're not even trying. I'm like,
I won't say that because when did Silent Hill 2 first come out? Was that PS2 or PS1 still?
I think it was PS1.
Okay, so if you go from PS1 and they now have it on PS5 as a remake, it is an HD remake to some extent.
Yeah,
but it has again, I want to say PS4 graphics, but I know a lot of games that look really good on PS4, so that's why I'm saying PS3.
And gameplay wise, it's too much Resident Evil 4-esque.
Yeah.
It's too much like Resident Evil, or like, because Silent Hill plays totally different than Resident Evil. I'm like, it should have maintained that. It shouldn't be Silent Hill Resident Evil 4 edition.
So here's an interesting take for you, and you let me know. The same way how fighting games is becoming more offensive or abusively offensive, do you think they're kind of taking the same route? More action, kind of get you more into the mix, be more in tune with it, because that's how RE kind of is.
Yeah, that's how RE comes in. But like at the same time, there's also a sense of horror, like it's a survival horror, but
jump scares. At the end of the day, they're gonna focus on the jump scares.
Yeah, with Nemesis and Mr. X, and I keep dying of laughter seeing streamers getting scared of Mr. X.
X gonna give him.
X, exactly. I was every single time I watched them, I'm dying of laughter because I'm like they know the fear of Mr. X when we grew up, when we were playing Resident Evil 2. Like I said, now they know how we feel.
Yeah.
But now that it's been remade, they're all terrified. I'll never forget one streamer. He literally ran out of his. He just dropped his controller and just ran out of here. As soon as he see Mr. X break through a wall. I'm just like, oh, geez.
But guys, so that y'all actually know what we're talking about. If you haven't watched the Sony State of Play, or if you plan on it, I'm just going to give you a rundown of the 14 games and the studios with them, okay? So the first game is Concord by Firewalk Studios. Second game, God of War Ragnarok, which is actually just a coming to PC with the Valhalla DLC. Dynasty Warriors Origins. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, if you didn't know, God of War is made by Santa Monica Studios.
Yep.
Dynasty Warriors Origin by Megaforce Studios. The one that didn't get one, but I'm guessing this is a Sony game, was Infinity Nikki, which we're going to get on that game in a second. Ballad of Antara, which is by Info and Tipwork Studios. Skydance's Behemoth. Behemoth is a game, and that's a VR game. 20th Century Games, as well as Servio Studios, made Alien Rogue Incursion, which is also VR. Marvel Studios / NetEase Games is making Rivals. Everstone Studios makes Where Winds Meet, which is the Asian-esque game, or the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon game, as I call it. PlayStation Studios with Ballistic Moon. I guess you'll say the Until Dawn remake. Grinding Gear Games, Path of Exile, which was kind of funny because I could have swore Path of Exile 2 was coming out. So the fact that Path of Exile is coming on PlayStation seems kind of late. Yeah. Then you have Konami / Bloober for Silent Hill 2, Capcom with Monster Hunter Wilds, and PlayStation Studios with Team Asobi for Astrobot, which surprisingly I actually liked how that looked. But let's go down the line from the top. Concord. They actually said something very interesting while it was going on. They said that they took inspiration from fighting games and strategy games to make this FPS. There's, if I'm correct when I counted it, 16 playable characters. And they claim that they're all individual in their own right. And I was just like, okay, 16 characters off the bat? That ain't bad, but I'm wondering, because of the weakness of Overwatch 2.
Yes.
You have this, you have Marvel Rivals, which I can't lie. I don't like Overwatch, but I like me some comic books, and I want to play some Storm and chuck some plasma. You know, they had all type of characters in the game, but I'm wondering if because of the weakness of Overwatch 2, is the Sony and these other studios under them feel like, hey, they have a market they can possibly corner to try to make something, and everybody's jumping on it. But now the CGI for Concord was great.
Yeah, it was.
But here's the scary thing, right? The CGI, or that little that little short film that they did in the beginning, made me think that this game needs to be rated M.
I totally agree
because
with that. It needs to be rated
at some point it felt like they were trying to censor the language, like they had to change something up. The next thing, God of War Ragnarok. So
there's really nothing to say about that, but
I mean, there is some controversy, unfortunately.
That is true because I'm like, but at the same time, like, I felt like it kind of rewarded the PC players because of the fact that
comes with DLC.
Comes with a DLC, and people say, "Oh, we get that," and I guarantee PC fans are laughing at play. They say, "Oh, you gotta pay while we gonna get it for free." But I'm like, at the same time, if it wasn't for PlayStation fans buying it, they was like, "Oh, we're gonna reward you." Because of the same kind of rewards the sales success.
That's not how it works. In most games that come to Steam, let's be totally honest. If a game doesn't make its money within the first 3 months to 6 months, it didn't meet quota that they need to, because that's when the popularity of a game is really going to come out. It doesn't take a year for a honeymoon phase. For most games, it's roughly around 3 months. So if they didn't make their money within the 6 months, and then you got trickle purchases here and there in between, it's just going to continue to trickle on and on until you get to that lifetime, payment. When most games come out to Steam, let's be totally honest, definitive editions normally come out to Steam. So this God of War with the Valhalla DLC, because the Santa Monica Studios say that they were making a new DLC for God of War Ragnarok. Because if they aren't, that means that this is the definitive edition. So this is going to come out possibly $10 cheaper with the DLC. But that's how it works being a part of Steam. Like, I finally learned after so many years what the true term for master race means, and it's normally the deals.
I don't have Steam yet.
Oh, you will. You will. Trust me, unfortunately, guys, I fell off on Sony, or I fell out of love with Sony because of a lot of bad practices, but this is before a lot of all the other current stuff like Gamergate 2 and a bunch of other stuff was going on. And once you hit PC and you look at it, it just makes sense. The next game, Dynasty Warriors Origins. Now, Origins. I feel like they're making the same mistake that Soul Calibur did.
Yeah.
Like, you have Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors, Orochi something. Like, when you say Origins, or you going back to the very beginning, and it's kind of like, how many games have you been in before? Dynasty Warriors been out since PlayStation.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think they just want to make another hack and slash game for the fans, because there's plenty of people that like it. Do me a favor. I know Gundams haven't been out in a while. Make another Gundam, or choose another franchise. Make a DBZ. Dynasty Warriors. Make what's the new mech game that came out? If they're going to stick to something like Gundam, Mecha Breaker, which is coming out. You have the First Descendant is still in production, so they wouldn't use that. You could do Street Fighter. Like, there's so many other IPs you could do to try to, like, make like maybe 1 to 3 games on for something. Because they even did it with the Fate series, the anime series. What is it, Fate and Stella? They did 2 games. So, one I would think that might be great is My Hero Academia.
That would actually be dope.
Yeah, so, I mean, but Dynasty Warriors Origins wasn't a fan. So, already we got Concord, which is kind of like a question mark. God of War Ragnarok, which really doesn't cater to Sony in ways. And then we have Dynasty Warriors Origins, which is like, wow, Origins. So you might as well call it Reloaded or Remixed or something like that. Alright, now the one that is in question, Infinity Nikki. I can't lie. So this game obviously caters to females.
Yes. You beat me to it. I was gonna say that. It
makes me think of Frozen with it feels like Disney Devil May Cry. Like that's kind of what it gives me vibes on. What about you?
I was like, when you said cater, I was like, that's basically the nail on the head. You say it caters to females. I'm like, you just read my mind right there. This game is.
Yeah. Now I will say this though. It looks crisp. And the reason why I say Disney is because I was just like, man, this feels like they used the budget from the Kingdom Hearts game into this. Mm-hmm. Like, it feels like Frozen meets Tinkerbell, like the way like the aesthetics of some of the stuff was. It was very interesting that it's not, you only get to play with humans, but you also get to play with the cats, with little cat people, which was pretty cool. Overall gameplay and design looks very great, but it's definitely something, I can see guys playing it just to try it out. But it does look like it is something that is like caters to females, kind of like how the Lego game's technically supposed to cater to kids. So, but I actually am curious and interested in the game just from a watch standpoint, because the graphics and the gameplay does look solid. It does look solid. Ballad of Antara. That game, that looks like my type of game. It looks dark. It looks gritty. I
gotta look at that game one more time just to analyze it, because I only watch like PlayStation State of Play only like twice, but I'm like that game. I said I
Me
need
too.
to add.
But I just watched this.
Yeah, you just watched it, but me, I watched it yesterday, and I'm just like, you know what? I watched it, and I watched it again. I'm just like, I need to fully analyze this one because I'm like,
because it gives me Souls vibes, dark, gritty. So I was just like, yeah, I'm down. I can't tell based off the gameplay what type of game it is, but it can go for Souls-ish or it can go for the Devil May Cry style mechanics. Either way, I'm down for it. The next two are VR games, so I don't know if you want to cover them, which is Behemoth and Alien Rogue Incursion. Okay. We're not VR players, guys.
No,
I've tried them, I've tested them, but not my thing.
It's just not.
So the other Overwatch clone,
Yeah.
Marvel Studios Rivals. So
A lot of people kept saying this. Why are you making like a Marvel-esque Overwatch game? They said people keep saying that. A lot of people said, why didn't you make a Guardians of the Galaxy 2? Because they said the first one was dope. A lot of people was looking forward.
the problem is they've been using that formula too much, so they probably want to focus on something else. Because remember, the first form of that formula was Marvel's Avengers. While I liked the game for what it wasn't a good game. Then I forgot the next game that came out after that was like that. But then you have, because I think the Spider-Mans came out after that, which all the Spider-Mans were a great success. But then you had Guardians. Everybody loved Guardians and everything else. But remember, when the Guardians game was coming out, we still had movies
We did.
coming out with it. So then you had Midnight Suns. I don't know how well that was taken. And then they are making another Avenger style game that's, I believe, in Unity 5 or UE5. So, and people are loving the graphics on how realistic it is, but it's a definite different take on how the characters look. Black Panther looks different from the people from the movies, as well as Captain America and stuff like that. But I know that game is heavily in production, and I believe, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but because it is Marvel Disney, it's probably their quadruple A game that they're working on. Yeah, because I think they said Ubisoft is the one that started this whole quadruple A game garbage. I thought AAA was enough, but I feel like every 80 they add on is just an extra dollar sign. But as far as the gameplay does look good. It looks polished. Some things look like rinse and repeat. Like I seen a lot of, oh, if I want to do my ultimate or do something, I jump in the air to do it. That part I thought was kind of lazy. Because two characters that I seen, no, 3 characters that I seen that kind of did something like that. One was Storm, another one was Hela, and the other one was Venom. Venom had one where he looks down to the ground and then he does a pound. Storm had it to where she aims where she wants to shoot a lightning, but it has stage destruction or stage hazard, like when it happens. And then Hela jumped in the air and she's chucking, I don't know if it's plasma or swords, because Hela was pretty much, I use swords to cut you up type of thing, at least from the movie standpoint. They got a diverse array of characters. The most confusing one was Adam, because I thought that was Shiny Thor. Yeah, but we'll see. Punisher and Rocket Raccoon was in it. They have a lot of cool things because it almost looks like they took like the multiverses aspect of it, and now you can do dual specials or supers or group supers to do stuff. And it kind of makes me wonder, you have this, but what if somebody is just like, oh look, a group of them did their super, let me use Storm or Hela, jump in the air and just start blasting that, and maybe you just do a team wipe or team kill on them. Like, I don't know.
You think this has a potential? Do you think it has?
I believe it
the
will.
recipe or not?
I believe it will, and the main reason why is because most people that are playing Overwatch is either going to League or Valorant, but a lot of people want to play Overwatch. So between Concord, Rivals, and any other game that might be coming later on down the line, whether it's indie or from a main state developer, somebody's going to end up reining that in because Overwatch 2 is dead.
Yeah, sadly.
So, but the next game, and this is the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon one, where winds meet. So, this one was actually very interesting. Again, another game that I'm interested in. It's along the same titles as like Black Wukong and Black Myth Wukong and games like that. The game looked like, or even Sekiro. Don't know what the fighting style is going to be because I believe it was all CGI trailer, but it definitely looks like my
Definitely your style.
yeah. Because outside, I know I'm calling it Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, but there's another movie way back in the day that came out, which was called Storm Riders.
I've heard that.
Guys, anybody out there that is seasoned, you know what I mean. If you know what Storm Riders is, it was an old VHS, kung fu film, and they had all the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon stuff like these power swords. You're flying in the air with these ballet-looking moves and stuff like that. Like, it might be good. Who knows? Or it could be a dumpster fire, but normally these type of games are, you play it, it was good for what it is, and it's kind of like a one and done, maybe a two and done, depending on what you're trying to do. Next one, Until Dawn. Is this a remake?
That I gotta figure out, because I gotta do more research on it. I gotta watch the video carefully. I'm like, is it a remake or is it a remaster? Who knows?
Yeah, because I'd rather a remake, but if you're doing a remake, that means you're changing stuff.
Yeah.
Normally drastic enough to where you could say it's like a different game, like Final Fantasy remake, 7 remake. If it's a remaster, beat the dead horse. I hope nobody is willing to buy this game because, graphics aside, do you really want to play the exact same game, the exact same story, in the exact same manner, just so you can have better blades of grass? Like, but I'm not trying to be a hater on it, but I'd rather a remake than a remaster, any day, all day. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know.
How long that game been out anyway?
You know what? Guys, give me a second and let me look that up. Until Dawn came out August 25th of 2015.
So almost 10 years.
Yeah, so this is definitely a remake then.
Yeah.
Or a remaster. So, if that's the wait, and it says planned release, look, Until Dawn on Steam, planned release 2024. So, if Steam is getting this, I'm wondering if it is going to be the remake. Oh. Yeah, so it is a remake for fall of this year.
Alright. Interesting.
So if it's a remake, that means there should be way better and more intuitive mechanics than the original. Yeah. So, guys, if you like Until Dawn, you might have potentially a newer one. So I'm going to be curious on the reviews for that, if it's better or not. So the next one of the best rogue-like games to come out that competed with Diablo, Path of Exile 1. Even though Path of Exile 2 is either in development or in early access or something like that, how do you feel about such an old game finally coming to PS5?
Even though it's a long time coming, and it's a remake of Path of Exile, right? Or is it just?
It's not a remake. I think it's a port over. The difference is that a game that's made for PC, you have to put it to console. It's the button mapping.
Most likely, if they're porting it over, most likely it's to promote the second one. That's what I'm getting. Because if the second one is coming out, not maybe this year or next year, they're most likely trying to promote it.
Okay.
Most likely they're gonna promote the second.
All right. So we already discussed Silent Hill 2.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about
Yeah.
Leon Kennedy's.
So the next one, and this is probably the biggest one. I would have said Path of Exile would have been the biggest one because that is a big game, especially in the space of where Diablo is at. But Capcom's Monster Hunter Wilds, that game makes me want to try Monster Hunter. I have yet to try Monster Hunter,
I've yet to try
or
Monster Hunter.
up-to-date Monster Hunter, I should say, from PlayStation 4 on up. What do you think?
I've never tried Monster Hunter, but I see people always going crazy over that game, but I'm like, I just can't really get into Monster Hunter, so I was just like,
Really?
yeah,
So old school Monster Hunter, because I also played a game called Ragnarok AO or RO on PS Vita. They were mission based, and it's kind of like you do these missions, you get materials and everything else. When they changed to open world, it made it so much better. Because I also had the God. You remember God Eater, the anime?
yeah.
They made 2 games, and same thing. They were mission based. Mission-based games were not fun because it felt like just rinse and repeat. Like, go do the mission, get brought back to your home world. Now you got to go talk to a bunch of people, do the same thing. It was a lot. And the last one, which I'm also interested in, my PlayStation, Astrobot.
Astrobot, that one kind of intrigues me a lot. That's
Have
what
you
I'm saying.
ever thought that you would want to play a game with Sony's mascot?
That's-
So guys, how do I say this? So when Astrobot first came out, because the sack boy from Little Big Planet was like the front runner before it.
Yeah.
And then before that was like Kratos and stuff like that. But I can't remember what it was called, PlayStation Home or Game Room or whatever else, is when you first got introduced to Astrobot, and I believe that was in PS3, if not early adaptation PS4. And
I think it was early PS4. I think it was early.
and then ever since then, you really didn't get anything off of that. Like, they had like little mini games here and there, but now you got a full-blown game that looks really good. It feels like Jack and Dexter / Ratchet and Clank a little bit.
It does. So that one intrigued me the most because, like you said, it remind me of Ratchet and Clank. So it's like I'm kind of see what they're gonna do on the next part. I'm kind of curious. But overall, what would you say? What grade would you give State of Play without everybody going negative on it, including Hoobie186? He gave it an F- for Pete's sake.
So okay, so he gave a letter grade. He didn't give a number grade.
Nah, he gave it a letter. He gave it an F-.
So here's the thing, right? Because there are games that I'm curious about and intrigued on, and there are games that I'm interested in trying out, I'll be capping if I said that it would be a negative. Now, here's the thing. They have like 2 to 3 horror genres in here, and then you got some remasters and some remakes. The remasters and the horror genres, they're kind of like whatever, but out of 14 games announced, about half of them I think are kind of like up in the air or okay, so I'm gonna give it like a 5 out of 10.